I am 79 years old, and 2 years ago, my son spoke to me like I was hired help. He stood in my own kitchen with my coffee in his hand, using a tone I had never allowed anybody. I did not argue. I did not cry. I did not remind him of one single thing I had ever done for him. I said one sentence, quietly, one time. Then I closed my mouth, and I kept it closed. He left about 20 minutes later without much of a goodbye, and I sat down and shook. He called the next morning at 7:10, and his voice was different than it had been in years. Tonight I am going to give you that sentence, word for word, and everything around it. 5 things, in order, and I am not going to dress a single one of them up for you. First, why arguing loses every time, no matter how right you are and no matter how calm you stay. Second, the sentence itself. It is shorter than you think, and you will have it by the end. Third, why it works, what it actually does to the person standing in front of you. Fourth, what happens in the first week after, because that week is where most of us fold. And fifth, what you must never add afterward, because adding is what undoes the whole thing. Stay with me. This is not about winning, and it is not about teaching anybody a lesson. Let me tell you who is talking first, so you know exactly what these words are worth. I am not a counselor. I never sat in a class about families in my life. I drove a school bus for 22 years, Route 11, out past the grain elevator, cold mornings, a heater that never worked right, and 40 children who all needed something. My husband Ray passed 9 years ago in November, and the house has been quiet since. We had 2. Michael is 46, and my daughter Janine is 51, out in Reno. I was a good mother in most of the ways that get counted, and soft in one way that did not. Here is the part I am not proud of, and I want it said early so you know I am not preaching. For about 30 years, I let my children speak to me whatever way the day happened to go. Snapped at on the telephone, corrected in front of their friends, cut off in the middle of a sentence, eyes rolled at my own table when I told the story I had told before, which I know I do. And every single time I did the same 2 things, and both of them made it worse. I would explain myself, long and careful, with all my reasons lined up like jars on a shelf. And when explaining did not work, I got smaller. I laughed it off. I changed the subject. I would say, "Oh, you know how he is. He is tired. He has a lot on him at work." I said that about a grown man for 20 years, and most days I believed it. What it cost me was not one big thing. It was a little piece of me over and over. By the time I was 75, I caught myself rehearsing before my own son came over. Standing at my sink, practicing how to say things so that he would not use that tone. A woman my age, in her own kitchen, rehearsing. Something in me got tired that day. Not angry. Tired. And tired is what finally changed it, because anger I could talk myself out of. So here is the first thing, and it is the one nobody wants to hear from a woman my age. Arguing loses. Always. not sometimes, always. And it has nothing to do with who is right. When you argue, you hand them the subject. Now the subject is your reasons, not their tone. You say, "I do a lot for you." They say, "Nobody asked you to." And off the two of you go. 20 minutes later, you are defending a casserole you carried over to their house in the spring. The disrespect has left the room entirely, and you are the one who carried it out. I have watched women my age win an argument with a grown child and lose the whole year. A person who is arguing is not listening to you. They are only waiting for their turn. And there is something worse than that. Arguing tells them the tone worked. It got a reaction. It got your evening. It got you upset right there in front of them. Whatever gets a reaction gets repeated. That is true at 6, and it stays true at 46. My old way was to answer the words. The words are never the problem. The tone is the problem. And you cannot answer a tone with paragraphs. You answer a tone with one line. Which brings me to the second thing, the sentence. And I am going to say it slowly. I love you, and I am not going to be spoken to that way. That is it. That is the whole of it. Say it once, quietly, and then stop talking. Let me take it apart for you, because every piece in there is doing a job. It starts with, I love you, and that part is not decoration. That part is the door. It tells them this is not the end of anything. You are not leaving. You are not punishing them. Most people brace for a threat. When the threat never comes, they have nothing to push against. Then comes the second half, and I want you to notice what is not in it. There is no because. Not because I raised you, not because I drove you to practice for 9 years in the dark. The moment you add a because, you have opened a file, and now the two of you argue the file. Notice something else. It does not say you are disrespectful. It does not put a name on them. Call a person disrespectful, and they will defend the person until midnight. Name the way you will be spoken to instead, and there is nothing there to defend. It is about what happens next, not about who they are, and that is the whole difference. And it is short. Short is what keeps it quiet, and quiet is what makes it land. Say it at the volume you would use to ask somebody whether they wanted more coffee. Not cold, not shaking. Level, the way you would read the weather off the radio. Then, and this is the hard part, harder than the sentence, you stop. You do not fill the silence. The third thing is why it works, and it turns out to be simpler than anybody tells you. It works because there is nothing in it to fight. You have not accused them of one thing. You said what you love and what you will not do. Both of those belong to you to say. There is no door in that sentence, no hook. Nothing they can grab and pull on. I watched it happen on Michael's face in my kitchen, and I will not forget that look. He had his answer loaded. I could see it sitting there behind his teeth, all ready. And I never gave him the thing his answer was built for. It had nowhere at all to go. He said, "What is that supposed to mean?" I said nothing. I picked up a dish towel. That is the other half of why it works. The silence after does more than the sentence does. Silence is not the cold shoulder. You are not sulking. You are not making anybody guess. You already told them you love them. That is the whole reason the silence is a safe place. A person left alone with their own tone starts to hear it. Nobody can hear it while you talk. When you talk, they listen to you. When you stop, the only voice left in the room is theirs. And here is the thing about a grown child that took me the longest to accept. They know. They are not confused about how they spoke to you. They are seeing whether it costs anything. The fourth thing is what happens in the first week. And the first week is where we fold. So I am going to walk you through mine, day by day, so that nothing catches you sideways. That first night, I did not sleep at all. I was sure I had broken something I could not fix. I typed out a message 3 separate times and deleted it 3 times. It had sorry in it. That is the pull. Around 10 at night, your whole body will want to smooth the thing over. The next morning he called, and I want to be careful here because it does not always go that way. He did not apologize, not with the word. He asked whether my car had passed inspection. That is what an apology sounds like from a great many men, and I let it be one. I did not say, "So are we going to talk about last night?" I said, "It passed, and we talked about tires." Do not make them say it out loud. Making them say it is only arguing with better manners. Now here is the other way that week can go, and you had better be ready for that one too. Sometimes there is nothing. No call. 2 days, 4 days, 1 entire week of nothing at all. Janine went 11 days on me once, and those 11 days were long past describing. That silence is a test, and it is not a cruel one. An old habit is checking whether the rule is real. Every child on my bus tested the rule about the back door exactly 1 time. Every single one. Not because they were bad children. A rule nobody has tested yet is not really a rule. So you wait, and while you wait, you live. You go to your cards, you cook, you sleep. If they call and they behave, you are warm, warm as ever. You do not make them earn it back slowly. And if the tone starts up again, you say the same sentence the same way, and you stop again. The same words every time, not a bigger version, not an angrier one, the same one. The sameness is where the power is. It stops being your mood and becomes how things are now. The fifth thing is what you must never add afterward, and here is where I nearly ruined mine. Never explain it later. Do not call the next day to tell them what you meant by that. I very nearly did. I had the phone in my hand at 6 in the morning, wanting to soften it. Explain it, and you have taken it back. And now it was a mood you had, not a line you hold. Never report it to the other child. Do not ring your daughter to tell her what your son did. That is not looking for comfort. That is building a side, and sides are how families come apart. Never bring it up at Christmas, not even the joking version, which is the worst version. Oh, we will see if he uses his nice voice this year. That one sentence undoes 6 months. And never attach a punishment to it. Nothing taken away. No, I will not be at your house. The sentence is not a threat, and the second you make it one, you are back in the fight. One more. Do not go hunting for a chance to use it. It is not a tool you get to enjoy. I have known a woman who could find disrespect in a dropped fork. Do not turn into her. Save it for the tone, the real one, the one that drops your stomach. Nothing smaller than that. Now let me put it in real rooms, honey, because a sentence in a video is easy and a kitchen is not. On the telephone, when the tone starts, say your line and then say, "I will call you Sunday." Then hang up gently, not slammed, gently, and set the telephone face down on the table. Face down matters more than you would guess. You are going to stare at it either way. In a message you type, use the same words and send nothing after them. No question at the end. A question invites an answer. The answer arrives as a paragraph, and there you are again. In front of the grandchildren, it is different, and I want you to hear this part twice. You do not correct their father in front of them. You say it low, meant only for him. But do say it. A child watching learns exactly what a grandmother is worth in that house. Out in public, at a store or a restaurant, say it quieter than you believe you can. Quiet in public is stronger. A whole table hears the calm one, never the loud one. When the disrespect comes wrapped in a joke, and it usually does, answer the tone, not the joke. Say your line. If they tell you they were only kidding, say, "I know," and let it sit there. When it arrives alongside a request for money, deal with the tone first and the money never. Money and tone in one conversation turns into a trade, and you do not want to be traded with. And when they tell you that you are too sensitive, that is not a question, so do not answer it. My own mother would have answered that one for an hour. I do not answer it at all now. What would I tell a woman of 40 whose children are small and whose house is still loud? Do it now at the small sizes, when it is a 15-year-old and a door slammed upstairs. Every year you let it pass, that sentence gets heavier, and by 79 it weighs a great deal. Now let me tell you where the sentence came from, because I did not think of it myself. A woman named Doris handed it to me at a card table on a Tuesday afternoon in October. She was 88, thin as a coat hanger, and she beat me at cards for 4 straight years. I was complaining about Michael, the way we do it, sideways, pretending the whole thing was funny. She put her cards face down and said, "You know you are allowed to say something out loud." Then she gave me the words. She told me she used them on her own son in 1981. She said the first month was awful and that the 28 years after it were good ones. Doris passed the spring before last. I still think about her nearly every week of my life. Here is what she was really teaching me, and it took me 2 years to say it out loud. Respect is not a thing your children hand you. It is a thing you keep showing them is there, and there is no age at which it is too late to start. Not 79, not 90. Michael calls on Sundays now, and that tone is gone. Not cured by love, ended by one line. He does not know that anything changed, and I hope he never finds out. That suits me fine. So here is the one small thing to do today, and it does not require a telephone call. Say that sentence out loud, alone, in your own kitchen, until it comes out level and calm. I love you, and I am not going to be spoken to that way. Say it until your voice believes it. Just that much. Get it into your mouth now, so it is waiting there on the day you need it. Because that day comes without warning, and a woman who is practiced does not shake. You are not difficult, and you are not too old to change how you are spoken to, my dear. If any of this reached you tonight, subscribe, and I will keep telling you the true parts. Next time, I want to talk about the ones who apologize and then change nothing at all. How to tell a real apology from a comfortable one inside a single phone call on a Sunday. I will be right here. Sleep well.